Cold comfort, cold storage. It's cold comfort. We are receiving a distress signal in the Bravo system. A Deferi transport weathered a Breen attack, but they've taken heavy casualties and are requesting immediate assistance. My people do not have military ships, Admiral, and I am loath to send a lightly armed rescue vessel into such a dangerous situation. Please, you must do whatever you can to help them. I think the first time I did these missions, I was in a Sovereign, because there was no endgame Galaxy. I think the Galaxy retrofit came way later. Galaxy retrofit came with Vice Admiral, and that was like towards the end of the summer, I think? Summer 2010? The, the auto nav strikes again. Yeah, just let us skim. Just let us skim the star. That'd be cool. Like let us like scoop hydrogen from the star and go faster in sector space. Like it could even give you a turning buff, like or a speed buff in systems, you know, or you could scoop deuterium. Hey, there's a immersive way to get deuterium surplus is to scoop raw hydrogen from stars. Hey, there you go. Sector space doesn't have to be, like, just static. It can be immersive. You can do shit there. This mission is all dialogue. Eventually, when it loads. Captain, we're being hailed by a disabled Deferi frigate. Putting it on screen now. Thank you for responding to our distress call. We were boarded by the Breen and have taken severe casualties. We could use any medical aid you could render. Please approach and beam over as soon as you can. I remember thinking that this is some Dead Space shit when I first approached this frigate. It's just a lone ship hanging around in a rocky bunch of rocks floating over a planet. I expected this to turn into a horror show. Not this time. That was the next featured episode series that had the horror episode. Please beam over any medical supplies and personnel you can spare. We'll send your transporter chief the coordinates to our trauma center. So I know the answers to this like the back of my hand, mostly. So I am just gonna kind of breeze through this because there's a lot of stuff that's basically just there to mess with you. So I'm not gonna be like reading through like what everything is, but I'm gonna like point you to the correct things to do. By the balance, you couldn't have arrived at a better time. I need every available person to help with the patients. I think the Breen take pleasure in causing pain. Few of our crew were killed, but many have been injured. If you want to help, I need someone at Table 7. Take the patient's medical history and triage the injury. If it is a minor issue, go ahead and treat them so we can make room for another patient. So the questions you ask are actual questions that like you might, like, see someone, like, in an emergency room ask. Please, it hurts. Help me. What hurts? It's my left side. I took a disruptor hit from a Breen rifle. Please, I need something for the pain. Do you have anything that will help? Treatment for disruptor injuries. There are several medications available from the Deferi med kits that we can use to treat this patient's pain. Acetylithium, bicaridine, hydrocortisone, metorepan, and morphinolog are all indicated for pain relief. Once the patient is stable, we can treat the disruptor hit directly with a protoplacer, which should fix the damage done to the cellular structure. Do you have any allergies? I'm highly allergic to metorepan. I was given it once and my airway swelled until it was completely blocked. I almost died. Metorepan allergy. Metorepan is a very common drug used to treat and manage pain, especially in patients. This probably should be Lima, especially in patients with this level of trauma. It's a good thing we caught this. If the patient was given the wrong medication, the result could have been disastrous. In fact, you know what? It's kind of weird that Revan is the one answering the medical questions, considering Lima is the dedicated, physician. So let's go ahead and switch that over. Yeah, there you go. Are you taking any medications currently? No. Do I look like I should be? Have you been treated for anything related to this issue? How often do you think I'm shot by a Breen? The last time I saw a physician was 2 years ago. I was treated for polywater intoxication. When was the last time you ate? Midday, I guess. What does this have to do with anything? Why haven't you given me something for the pain yet? What were you doing before you were injured? I was repairing a power conduit on Deck 2 when the Breen came out of engineering and shot me. They didn't even give me a chance to surrender. I wouldn't have fought them. Alright. So, we gotta go load a hypospray with morphinolog. And then hold X because it's not going to give us the option to use the hypospray. Morphinolog didn't help. Okay. Here's the part where we pump her full of drugs until something works. I thought it was morphinolog. It might be bicaridine. The pain from the disruptor wound is subsiding. That feels much better, thank you. The bicaridine is having the desired effect. Now we can use the protoplacer on the wound to treat it without causing undue pain to the patient. Why isn't my doctor here doing this? Good work with that last patient. Has anyone ever told you that you have a talent for medicine? I need someone to check out the patient on table 3. I would appreciate any help you can give us. Blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Mother, is that you? What hurts? An older boy named Tosca used to take my favorite toys when I brought them to school. If I tried to fight him to get them back, he'd break the toys so that no one could play with them. My mother said Tosca was out of balance. Do you have any allergies? I hated the taste of my mother's stew when I was young. She tried to convince me it tasted like spring, but I thought it tasted like bugs. Are you taking any medications? I used to play in the mud every time it rained. My mother thought I'd get sick from playing outside in the cold and the damp. But I never got sick, not even once. Have you been treated for anything related to this issue? I loved it when my mother would sweep me up in her arms and hug me tight. She smelled like love and cooking herbs. When was the last time you ate? I used to pick berries with my sister on the hills overlooking the farm where we grew up. They were tart, so my mother would sprinkle granulated clava honey on them. What were you doing before you got injured? My father used to sing rhymes to me when I was a child. I would fall asleep in his arms and have the best dreams. The patient seems disoriented and unaware of their surroundings. It may be a symptom of brain trauma, but we cannot rule out a psychological breakdown until we do a mental status check. The stress of the brain attack may have been more than the patient's mind could process. Do you know your name? My sister had a doll she used to call Ilka. Do you know approximately what time it is? I loved catching umek insects at twilight. The light from the descending sun would make their wings glow like golden fire. Do you know where you are? Can we have our dessert now? I finished all my vegetables. Do you know what year it is? My sister is 3 years older than I am. That meant my mother let her do all the fun things while I had to sit and watch. Altered mental state. There is something obviously wrong with this patient's mental status. I recommend that we scan the brain tissue for deep trauma. A hyperencephalogram should reveal if there is any damage. Captain, it appears that there is a cortical implant in this patient's brain that is causing the disorientation and delusions. There is an extremely high amount of neural activity in the area around the implant. Perhaps if we were able to decrease the activity with an anesthetic, the patient would be more responsive. Alright. Let's see. I think it's Neurazine. Neurazine is an anesthetic. It has also been used in gaseous form to incapacitate large numbers of hostile humanoids. No, that's not it. Anetrazine? There it is. Anetrazine is an anesthetic used for calming hyperactive nerve impulses. The use of anetrazine has been known to interfere with cranial implants by decreasing their effectiveness. Where am I? I remember the brain attack. And then there was this medic. He seemed sad. The brain implanted me with a cortical implant. It has been forcing me to relive memories from my past. Get it out of my head. I don't want to live like this. The anetrazine worked. Removing a cortical implant is a tricky process. We should confer with Dr. Casa about how to proceed. I'm not familiar with any technology like this. Any attempt I'd make at removing it would be based upon an educated guess. We have some captured breen in the brig waiting for transport to a holding facility. Perhaps you could question them. One of the monsters who did this to my patient might know how to reverse the process. Alright. That was the first half of this mission. I'm not joking. I don't know what's with all the arrows. Medkit. It's telling me to get medications from Medkit. But I already did that. Get medication from Medkit. What the shit? What the shit? I guess I'll go get medications from Medkit. It's insisting that I should. Yeah, it's busted. What do you know? Oh, please tell me that this mission is completable. There are a bunch of missions right now that are broken. They are in an unwinnable state. Please tell me this ain't one of them. Something about this hallway. I like the way that looks. Sort of like backlit ice. I like that. That's cool. Pun not intended. Sir, there are a few things you should know about the Breen before we talk to them. The Breen are a warrior race. They do what is expedient, and will often take prisoners rather than kill. You get more work out of a slave than a dead man. They may seem cold and callous to us, but to the Breen it is only logical. Survival and duty are more important to them than morality. The Breen are very concerned with personal honor. Do not insult a Breen's honor or suggest that they kill without cause, and you should be fine in your interrogation. Alright. Hello, Mr. Breen. What are you looking at, Starfleet? What is your name? Look at you, cowering in the shadow of Thought Trell. What hope could the Deferi possibly have against might like this? I will not answer your questions. Go bother someone else. Tell me about Thought Trell. He answers my questions. Thought Trell has more power and vision than a pathetic being like yourself could possibly comprehend. The Deferi will be the first to fall to his might, but they will not be the last. He will not stop until the entire Alpha Quadrant serves the Breen Confederacy. Someday soon I will stand on the blasted remains of your homeworld and celebrate our victory. I will grind the remains of your leaders into dust under my boot heels. Thought Trell will be the man who makes this possible. Well, considering Drake is from Berengaria, have fun with the fire-breathing dragons, asshole. Alright. Torture me if you wish, but I will never betray the Breen Confederacy. What's your name? Alright. Whatever, dude. This transport has an awful lot of holding cells on it. That's kind of weird. Are you here to let me go? What is your name? I am Tran. What do you want from me? What are you doing here? I am a combat medic in the Fifth Order. I serve the Breen Confederacy. I was ordered to go to this system by my superiors. I am sure that you have encountered other Breen in the Deferi sector. What does attacking a civilian transport have to do with Breen expansion? I do not feel comfortable continuing this conversation. My commanding officer is in a nearby cell and he can overhear everything that we are saying. While I do not agree with his actions in this matter, I respect his position of authority. I will not throw his dishonor in his face. Okay. All audio signals entering and leaving this cell are being blocked by an acoustic dampening field. But we are not dampening the other Breen cell. So, you know, he can tell that this guy is... It's kind of... Today's catching up with me. But the other guy can definitely tell that this guy is flapping his gums, so it's not like it does him much good. Your commanding officer cannot hear what we are saying. My superior thought that these Deferi civilians might have the information for which we have been searching. While I may have disagreed with his choice of target, it is not a soldier's place to question his commanding officer. I think my dissension was the reason I was selected to join the assault on the ship's bridge. A dangerous task in the best of circumstances, and one that had the least chance of success. Did you object to your commanding officer about this assignment? I'm not sure how you run things in Starfleet, but in the Breen Confederacy we obey our commanders. I may not always be pleased by what I am ordered to do, but I understand that there is a goal that must be achieved and that I may not have all the facts that my superiors do. Do you believe that the goal you were attempting to achieve was worth killing civilians? I didn't want to attack this ship. There is a nobility to being a soldier. When I enter battle, I know I could be killed. I know that others will die at my hands, but that is what we must do. It is part of being a soldier. Civilians are not part of this unspoken agreement. They do not wake up each day and know in their hearts it could be their last. They should be out of bounds as targets for people like you and me. There is no honor in fighting someone unprepared to fight back. I regret that I had orders to kill these civilians. More than that, I regret that I carried out those orders. Did you have an option that didn't involve attacking the Deferi? I suppose I could have hurled myself out of an airlock. My choices were to die or follow my orders. It is, unfortunately, not much of a choice. Foolishly, I believed that if I took part in this mission, I could do my best to prevent needless violence against those who should not be in the battle. I was wrong. So your mission wasn't just to kill the Deferi on this ship. I am a combat medic. Normally, my task is to repair the injuries of my fellow soldiers. On this mission, I was tasked with capturing civilians alive and fitting them with subspace cortical implants. These devices are barbaric, even by our standards. We use them to obtain memories from the most obstinate of interrogation subjects. This particular implant has a subspace relay intended to capture and transmit these memories, so that my superiors can sift through the secrets locked in our victims' minds, even as we moved on to implant more subjects. And it's catching up with me. I am fatigued. Why did you do this? What information did the Deferi have that you needed so badly? I am not sure what exactly the commanders wanted to learn from these people. I can only guess that my superiors wanted information that they felt could be held by any member of the Deferi population. The cortical implants were calibrated to bring long-term memories to the surface, even going back to the target's childhood. Perhaps they wanted to learn something that even a Deferi child might know. Would the probe Deferi know what memories were being searched? Perhaps, if they had the mental fortitude to recall the memories that were triggered during their interrogation. The pain from the implants can be quite intense. How do we remove the implant? The removal of the cortical implant is a very delicate procedure. The implants are intended to be strong enough to survive the interrogation process, but too difficult to be removed by the subject or anyone else. I have worked with these implants for some time. Have your doctors talk to me, and I will tell them what they need to do to remove them. And that's it. We just talk to Dr. Costa and we are out of here. This is a very short mission. This is just the information we needed. I will round up a surgical team, and we will begin the process of removing the implant immediately. I spent some time talking to the patient while you were in the brig. It sounded to me like the Breen implant was triggering memories from the patient's early childhood, many of them involving rhymes and songs. Rhymes and songs? Most Deferi parents and grandparents sing to their children and tell them stories of our past and our traditions. A common theme in our songs is the Preservers. We sing of their travels through the universe, their efforts to maintain the balance, and their great archive. My children are particularly fond of songs about the Preserver Archive, a hidden place where they left all of their technology and records of the ancient days. It's an interesting story, but I don't know if a place like that could actually exist. After all, we're talking about children's rhymes. Captain, the Breen must believe that the Preserver Archive exists. There is no other explanation as to why they would target Deferi civilians in order to obtain information about nursery rhymes. Before we leave, Tran has requested to talk to you again. He's waiting in his cell. So yeah, this is a real dated meme, but he's a Breen medic named Tran. He's Dr. Tran. points if you remember what the hell Dr. Tran was. Thank you for returning. I know that helping you was the right thing to do, but because I did so, I can never return to the Breen Confederacy. Therefore, I would like to request asylum from the Federation. I, however, am not alone in this request. There are a small group of Breen that share my feelings. We know that attacking innocents is wrong. If you accept us, we would all like to join you. I will give you the information necessary to contact them. It may take some time before they are willing to respond. Your future actions will help speed up that process. We've sent a communication based on Tran's information. I can't be sure that it was received, so at this point I believe the only thing we can do is wait for a response. I must say I'm surprised any Breen could be capable of reason. Oh, that's racist as shit. Some of this older dialogue is super cringe. The Deferi seem to have things under control for now. Are you ready to leave the system? Alright, let's switch that back to Revan, as he is the actual scientist. Well, the actual science officer. Hazard emitters. I remember stories about the preservers from my childhood, and of course we have ruins linked to them on Defera, but I have never heard of an intact preserver installation. The Breen, however, are taking these stories quite seriously, and if the Breen manage to acquire preserver-level technology, they could shift the balance of power in the entire Alpha Quadrant. It's lucky that you were able to establish a connection with Tran. I believe that he was sent by the powers to help maintain the balance of the galaxy, and I am grateful. I know your intelligence service has more questions for him, but after that, I promise I'll do what I can to see that he and any other Breen who disagree with our government's actions are not forgotten. One of your commanding officers was requesting to speak with you. You should consider meeting with them when you are done here. And for this, you get a crate of Deferi Snowtubers, which you use to make the Deferi Tribble, or the Cryo Tribble, which gives you resistance to cold damage. The Rapid Reload Transphasic Torpedo Launcher might be of interest to people who are running the Martok set. And you get a lockbox, so we're just going to take that. So when this featured episode series first ran, the grand prize for playing it on its first run was your Breen officer. But he is a bit of a missed opportunity, because, you know, they made such a big show of this Breen medic that I feel like they really should have just given you a Breen science officer. Like, Tran should... If this mission were made today, Tran would be your recruit. Tran would be the boff that you recruit. I feel like there was a real missed opportunity back when this featured episode series first ran. But that is Cold Comfort, and we are already past halfway through the Breen arc. So, I think that's going to be good for today. Fatigue is already catching up with me. I know I've been slurring my words a little bit. I'm really tired. So, for those of you watching on Twitch, thank you for watching. Those of you watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. Please consider donating to the Patreon at patreon.com/SciFiVERSUS. And I will see you later.